12th deed, concerning Ouazanes, Misdai's son. Chapter 139. And Ouazanes, Misdai's son, went to the soldiers and said, Give him to me, that I may speak to him till the king comes. And they handed him over, and he led him to the place where the king used to judge. And Ouazanes says, Knowest thou that I am the son of Misdai the king, and that I am at liberty to say to the king what I will, and that when I tell him, he will spare thy life? Tell me, therefore, who is thy God, and on whose power thou reliest, and in which thou gloriest? For if it is a power and are of sorcery, tell it and teach it, and I set thee free. Says Judas to him, Thou art the son of King Misdai, who is a temporal king. I am, however, the servant of Jesus Christ, the eternal King. Thou art at liberty to tell thy father that he spare those whom thou wishest in this temporal life, in which men remain not, though thou and thy father give it to them. I, however, beseech my Lord, and implore him for men, and he gives them new life, which abides forever. Thou gloriest in possession, slaves, garments, revelry, and unclean couch. But I glory in poverty, love of wisdom, humility, fasting, and prayer, and communion with the Holy Spirit, and with my brethren, which are worthy of God. And I glory in an eternal life. Thou hast taken thy refuge in a man like thee, who is unable to save his soul from judgment and from death. But I have taken refuge in the living God, in the Redeemer of kings and princes, the Judge of all. Today you may live, but not tomorrow. But I have taken refuge in him who remains in eternity, who knows all our times and circumstances. But if thou wilt become a servant of this God, thou canst become it soon. And that thou art a servant of him, thou wilt show in the following things. First, in sanctification, which is the principal part of all good things. Then in the communion with this God whom I preach, in the love of wisdom, in simplicity, in love, in faith, by the hope in him, and by the purity of a pure conversation. Chapter 140. And the young man who became convinced by the Lord sought an opportunity how he could help Thomas escape. Whilst meditating upon it, the king came, and the soldiers took Thomas and brought him forth. And Ouazanes also went with him and stood beside him. And the king took his seat and had Judas brought in with his hands tied behind him. Being led into the midst, he stood still, and the king said, Tell me who thou art, and by whose power thou doest these things. Judas said to him, I am a man like thyself, and do these things by the power of Jesus Christ. And Misdai says, Tell the truth, ere I destroy thee. Judas says, Thou hast no power over me, as thou thinkest, and wilt hurt me in nothing. Indignant over these words, the king ordered to heat iron plates, and to put him barefooted on them. And when the soldiers untied his shoes, he said, The wisdom of God is better than the wisdom of men. Thou, Lord and King, and thy goodness oppose his wrath. And they brought the plates which were like fire, and put the apostle on them. And straightway water rushed forth from the ground, that the plates were swallowed. And they which held them let him go, and went back. Chapter 141. And when the king saw the great amount of water, he said to Judas, "Pray thy God that he deliver me from this death, that I perish not by the flood." And the apostle prayed and said, "Thou who hast bound this nature and hast united in one place and sendest to different countries, who hast brought it out of disorder to order, who doest great deeds and great miracles by the hands of thy servant Judas, who hast pity on my soul, that I may always receive thy light, who givest reward to the weary, who savest my soul, and bringest it again to its own nature, not to unite with those that do harm, who art always author of life. Calm this element, that it rise not and destroy. For there are some here among those present who shall live, because they have believed on thee." Having prayed, the water was soon absorbed, and the place was dry. And when Misdai saw this, he ordered him to be led to prison, "till I have decided what to do with him." Chapter 142. When Judas was taken to the prison, Vazan, the king's son, went to the right, and Sifor to the left. Having entered into the prison, he sat down, also Vazan and Sifor, and the latter persuaded his wife and his daughter to sit down. For they had also come to hear the word of life, for they knew that Misdai would kill him because of his very great wrath. And Judas began to say, "Deliverer of my soul from the servitude of the multitude, because I suffered myself to be sold, behold, I rejoice and am glad, since I know that the times are fulfilled, that I go in and receive thee. See, I am freed from earthly cares. Behold, I complete the hope and receive truth. Behold, I am delivered from sadness, and have joy only. Behold, I am free from care and pain, and live in rest. Behold, I am free from servitude, and I am called to liberty. Behold, I have served times and seasons of times, and have been lifted up above times and seasons. Behold, I receive my reward from the rewarder, who gives without counting, because his riches are sufficient for his gifts. Behold, I undress myself, and I dress myself, and shall not again be undressed. Behold, I sleep, and wake up, and shall not sleep again. Behold, I die and return to life, and shall not taste death again. Behold, with gladness they wait that I come, and rejoicing with them I shall be put as a flower into their wreath. Behold, I reign in the kingdom for which I hoped hence. Behold, the wicked are confounded who have imagined to subject me to their power. Behold, the disobedient fall before me, because I have escaped them. Behold, it is peace to which all come. Chapter 143. When the apostle spoke thus, all those present listened, believing that he was to depart his life in this hour. And he continued, saying, "Believe in the physician of everything visible and invisible, and in the Redeemer of souls, which need his help. He is free, descending from kings. He is the physician of his creatures. It is he who is reviled by his own servants. He is the Father of the height, and the Lord and Judge of nature. He became the highest from the greatest, the only begotten Son of the depth. And he was called Son of the Virgin Mary, and Son of the carpenter Joseph. He whose lowliness we beheld with our bodily eyes, whose majesty, however, we have known by faith, and saw it in his works. whose human body we also touched with hands, whose changed appearance we saw with our eyes, whose heavenly form, however, we could not see on the mountain. He who perplexed the princes and overcame death, he who is infallible truth and paid tribute and headpiece for himself and his disciples, he at whose sight the prince became afraid, and the powers combined with him were confounded. And the prince testified who and whence he was, and he did not tell him the truth, since he is a stranger to truth, though having power over the world and its pleasures, treasures, and enjoyments, he abstains from all these things, and urges on his subjects to make no use thereof. Chapter 144. Having finished his address, he rose and prayed thus: Our Father in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so also on earth. Give us continually the daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil. My Lord and my God, hope and trust and teacher, and my encourager, thou hast taught me thus to pray. Behold, I pray this prayer, and fulfill thy behest. Be thou with me unto the end. Thou hast planted life in me from my infancy, and hast kept me from destruction. Thou hast led me into the poverty of the world, and hast invited me to the true riches. Thou hast manifested thyself to me, and shown me that I am thine, and I keep aloof from a woman, in order that the things which thou demandest be not found in pollution. Chapter 145. My mouth is unable to thank thee, and my mind unable to consider thy zeal for me, who hast shown me, whilst I wished to become rich and to acquire, that riches become a punishment for many on earth. But I believed thy revelation, and remained in the poverty of the world, till thou, the true riches, didst come and didst fill me and those worthy of thee with riches, and didst deliver us from indignance, care, and avarice. Behold, therefore, I have accomplished thy work, and executed thy behest, and became poor, needy, strange, a slave, despised, imprisoned, hungry, thirsty, naked, and weary. Let the fulfillment of my trust not be lost, and may my hope in thee not be confounded. Let my toils not be in vain. Let my continual prayers and fastings not be lost, and let my deeds for thee not be lessened. Let not the devil take the seed of the wheat from the land, and his tares be found in it. For thy land receives not his tares, and they cannot be gathered into the barns. Chapter 146. I planted thy vine in the ground. Let its sprouts spread in the ground, and its shoots go up to heaven. May it be seen on earth, and may those enjoy them which are worthy of thee, and which thou hast acquired. Thy silver which thou gavest to me I put on the table of the exchangers. Call it in, and return it to me with interest, as thou hast promised. With thy pound I gained by trading 10 others. May they be added to me, as thou hast commanded. I released the debtors the pound. Let it not be sought in my hand, which I have released. Invited to the supper, I came at once, and excused me not with the piece of ground and the yoke of oxen and wife. May I not be rebuked by him, and may I not eat of it only after compulsion? I was invited to the marriage and put on white garments. May I be worthy of them, and not be obliged to go into the outer darkness, hand and foot bound. My lamp radiates in its light. May its Lord keep it burning till he leaves the wedding house and I receive him. May I not see that it smokes for want of oil. May my eyes receive thee and my heart rejoice, because I have fulfilled thy will and carried out thy commandments. May I be likened unto that faithful and wise servant, which is very careful in his watchfulness. Watching the whole night, I endeavored to guard the house from robbers, that one dig not through it. Chapter 147. My loins are girt about with truth, and my shoes are firmly tied to my feet. May I not see their bands untied. My hand I put to my plow, and looked not back, that my furrows be not crooked. My fields are white, and long ago ready for the harvest. May I receive my reward. The garment waxing old I used, and the work which brings rest I have finished. I kept my first, second, and third watch. And may I receive thy face and worship before thy holy splendor. I have destroyed my storehouses and devastated them upon earth. May I receive from thy treasure, which diminishes not. The fountain running in me I dried up. May I rest at thy living fountain, and find rest there. The bound prisoner which thou didst give to me I have killed. Deliver the unbound in me, and may my soul not be deprived of its trust. The inner I made the outer, and the outer the inner. May thy will be accomplished in all my limbs. I turned not backward, but reached forth unto the things which are before. Let me not become a wonder or sign. The dead I made not alive, and the living I killed not, and the needy I filled not. May we receive the crown of victory, O thou powerful over both worlds. Disgrace I received upon earth. Get me the reward in heaven. Chapter 148. Let the powers not perceive me, and those having power not resolve upon me. Let the publicans not see me, and the tax-gatherers not trouble me. Let the lowly not despise me, nor the wicked, the considerate, and humble. Let the slave and the despised, and the great, riding the high horse, let them not dare to stand before me, because of thy victorious power, Jesus, which encompasses me. For they flee and hide from it, because they cannot look at it. For unawares they fall upon those which obey them. One part of the children of the evil one cries and reproves them, and none remains hidden, because their nature makes itself known. The wicked are separated. The tree of their fruits is bitterness. Let me quietly pass by their place and come to thee. May joy and peace support me, and may I stand before thy glory. Let not the calumniator look at me, but let his eyes be dazzled by thy light, in which I dwell, and may his lying mouth be shut, because he has nothing against me. Chapter 149. And turning to those who were in the prison by him, he said, Believe, my children, on this God whom I preach. Believe in Jesus Christ, whom I proclaim. Believe in him who makes alive and helps his servants. Believe in the Redeemer of those who toiled in his service. For my soul already rejoices, because my time is at hand to receive him. Being beautiful, he makes me always speak of his beauty, of what manner it is, although I cannot speak of it as I wish and ought. Thou who art the light of my poverty, and the supplier of my want, and the provider of my need, be thou with me till I come and receive thee in eternity.